Speed. You want to start a podcast, right? I know, it's the reason you clicked on this video. And I'm really glad that you did. This video is the first video of a series of videos we're doing at the Pod Sound School, and I'm really excited to share it with you. A couple of weeks ago, I sat down with over 20 podcasters from different backgrounds, covering different topics on their shows, because I wanted to pick their brains and see what things we all have in common as far as the struggles we had when we first got started podcasting or the struggles we continue to have. But mostly, I wanted to find out from them why they keep podcasting, why podcasting is so worth it. And I wanted to ask them what advice they have for you. You're gonna love this, and if you haven't penciled in that launch date yet, I'm pretty sure that by the end of this video, you will have. Okay, let's get to it. Welcome to the Pod Sound School. I'm Studio Steve, an audio professional and your podcasting guru. And together with my sidekick, Veronica, we are crazy about helping you to take your online presence to the next level. We'd love to see more of you on our channel, so keep checking in each week for the new videos we post. We always make them really valuable and fun. So in today's video, I talked with some of my favorite podskis all about what it was like for them getting their shows off the ground from ideation to creation and what some of their biggest challenges were. Check it out.
So confidence. Maybe I felt like people didn't want to hear what I had to say. I think coming up with the topics for the audience that I was trying to target, I didn't even know what audience I was trying to target. I didn't know if I wanted to target women my age or people my age, or if I wanted to target younger people.
I think that most people, you get in your own way. Like, your biggest obstacle between you and launching a podcast is yourself, because it's very different from TV or radio or even like the big screen, where you need to sell your idea to some gatekeeper, like a producer or somebody. Like for podcasting, the barrier to entry is pretty low. As long as you can record electronically somehow. We all have imposter syndrome, or we have doubts, and we always want to launch up here. But the reality is that wherever you launch, you're just going to be improving incrementally every episode. So there are too many stories of people who had an idea for 5 years and just keep pushing the date back. So I think it was important for me. I set a date and then actually didn't stick to it. I had to push it back a month because of a family vacation. But originally I was like, all right, I'm going to take 2 months to plan. August 1st, I'm going to drop my first 3 episodes. But my family and I went on vacation in August. So I said, all right, September is probably better anyway.
The most difficult part was understanding how to get my rhythm. I'm one of those people that I want everything to sound professional right away. Like, I want everything to be perfect. And I think I was in my own head on, well, what if this sounds like crap? I don't have a microphone. I don't have a place that, I don't have a studio. So all these things were getting in the way. And after finding you guys, I was like, you know what? I'm just starting. I'm going to go in my closet. I'm going to put a blanket over my head. I'm going to go in my car, just places where I could contain the sound. And literally, I did the very first 2 episodes in my car.
The most challenging part about starting is just getting started, not knowing what to say, not knowing if the topic's going to be receptive, not knowing if you're going to sound good, not liking your voice. And that's just the audio aspect of it. And another thing that was an issue is doing it alone. There have been a couple of times where either myself or Son Sol X had to do the podcast by ourselves, and it was like we feed off of each other. So it's like sometimes I've had to do one by myself or start 5 or 10 minutes by myself before he got on. And it was like, I felt like a fish out of water. And it was like, oh my God, I'm just rambling. I'm not on course. Even though I had notes, it's just like I'm by myself. I'm just out there.
Steve, you already know this, the audio. There's so many pieces. I'm not a techie. I'm okay with computers and software and whatnot, but that's not my space. I'm here for the humans. So everything technical was a learning challenge for me, but really dialing in the audio and different mics, and there's internet, and there's, just when we're doing a lot of what we're doing now at home, it's, again, we're continuing to learn and evolve and learn these different platforms. But that's okay.
So just trying to figure out the mechanics of it were a little bit daunting at first, but not really hard. And, we turned to a few other people for conversations that had done it themselves. And they were, podcasters are amazingly giving people. And they shared with us all kinds of little checklists and recommendations for, different types of software and things and equipment that we wanted to use. So, it really wasn't that big of a deal once we put our minds to it and just said, we're going to do this.
I will say, the getting started piece was tricky because I am a perfectionist and I wanted to have a certification. I wanted to read 25 books and really be an expert before we launched. I'm happy we didn't try to be perfect at launch. We really said, you know what, let's do some Google searches and get a sense of, the minimum equipment we could have to get started. Let's get a sense of a basic structure that we can start with. Maybe we'll evolve it down the line. We kind of just let go of trying to be perfect at launch and decided to just get started. We knew that the only way that we would actually get to our voice would be to get going. Over time, we have better equipment now. We have better, we definitely have a better structure. And we even are better now at supporting each other in the conversation. But it all happened because we decided to just get in there and get going.
I'd never had anything to do with audio before. I didn't know how to record. I didn't have a mic. I didn't know that you needed a DAW, a digital audio workstation. I didn't know what that was. It was just this huge, scary new world, and I just wasn't ready for about a year and a half. Finally, I jumped in because I started listening to Daniel J. Lewis Has the Audacity to Podcast. And that was such a huge inspiration for me because he made it seem accessible. He made it seem normal almost. Yeah, you can podcast. Anybody can podcast. And so I borrowed a mic. I downloaded Audacity, which is a free editing program. And I just did it. I spoke into the mic. I recorded my first episode and I released it. And it wasn't great, because nobody's first episode is great, but it was the start of something really life-changing. And I'm just so happy that I decided to go down that path.
The most difficult thing, I think, is just understanding that this requires work, right? But just as seeing other people who have podcasts as well, they make it look so easy because a lot of times they're 20 episodes, 100 episodes, or however many episodes in. But being somebody, if I look back at my, first show, it's just the aspect of understanding that, editing needs to get done and you need to do some branding. But then outside of that, you need to devote time to just learn the craft. So that is probably one of the biggest challenges that I would say. You need to take time to really learn the craft and then understanding that work is involved.
Myself. So for me, that was it. I keep hearing the voice in my head saying, nobody wants to hear you, or you're not going to be good enough. You're a teacher, just stick to teaching. Podcasting is not for you. You're not going to get it perfect. I'm struggling with perfectionism. I really am. I need to have everything perfect.
Well, I did a lot of things to force myself to do it. I knew I wanted to do it. I have never, no one likes their recorded voice. And I wasn't sure about reaching. Would anybody want to come on the show? I have no idea. So what I did was set little goals for myself. As soon as I bought the equipment, then I felt like I was committed because I can't have spent $200 and not, set it all up or whatever. So I had these little goals of, first I'm just going to read today, no pressure. I'm just gonna, what am I supposed to get? And then, the next week I'm going to research and kind of put stuff in my Amazon cart. And then once I clicked purchase, then now I'm in. Now I have to kind of get it done. And I did, I taped a bunch of interviews and sat on them for months because I wasn't sure. And the other thing about my podcast is people are sharing really intimate stories. And so there's a responsibility to treat that with care. And so that too was a little intimidating. And finally, I launched on January 2021 because I was like, I can't now have captured all these stories and not use them.
Okay, so what do you think? Who do you relate to the most? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget, we're leaving all of the links to all of these podcasters' amazing shows right in the description box where you're watching this video. So make sure that you go vibe out, give it a listen, and learn more about these amazing people and podcasts. Okay, so now that we have an idea of what a lot of podcasters first struggle with when we're getting our shows off the ground, what hurdles we're gonna have to overcome, and that we're gonna have to learn some new skills, I wanted to ask these podcasters what their advice is for you.
I would tell somebody to do it ugly and do it afraid. And I have a friend, her brand is called Do It Ugly. And the premise of it is just get started. Understanding that it's gonna be messy, it's not gonna sound perfect. And by way of you getting started, you can make the tweaks along the way. But you don't have to have the $500 microphone, or you don't have to have, the high definition camera. But when you start, then you'll be able to master at the level that you're on. And from that point, then you can make the tweaks and the upgrades as you move along. So do it ugly, do it afraid, and just get it done. Just get it done.
I feel like the move is just to get going, because even if you listen to I find our first episode to be unlistenable. There's audio issues. We don't have any sort of bits and stuff yet, but I think that stuff kind of grows over time. So, and you're not going to be able to get past all that stuff. Can I cuss? You're not going to be able to get past all that shit until you get started and, take your training wheels off and just start going.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So you have to just plow through and try it and then learn from trying.
Find a subject that you care about, that you know that you can get, that there will always be material for. And if I could do things over again, I'd spend more time learning about the marketing for a podcast. Because I think if that's really what you want to make your business, I think that's probably as important, maybe more important than the content of the podcast itself.
Do your research, figure out first, and I think I learned this from you guys, what is your demographic, what's your audience? Figure out what they like, go on Pinterest, go on YouTube, read the comments on things that you think they might like, people, what they're talking about, the people around your age, converse with your friends. I started doing things like posting, not an official poll, but I would say this or that on Facebook and see what the reaction is and what people are saying. And thank God they were responding, because they gave me, momentum. I would say do your research. And then once you figure out what your demographic likes, do your research into that one thing, hone in on that thing and dig it apart and dig in it and get into it. That's the best thing that you can do, especially starting off, just to establish that audience.
If you're thinking about it, you're thinking about it for a reason. Something's sending you a message. I always say on my podcast, if you're religious or not, God, Universe, Madonna, I'm a huge Madonna fan. Something's telling you to speak up. So use your voice, find a mic, find an outlet, and just, as our friend, Podfest founder Chris says, start ugly. Just start. Get out there, get on the mic, and you're going to learn so much. It doesn't matter if you know everything out the bat or not. It's going to get better as it goes on. So just start now and start speaking.
For me, I think looking back is don't focus on what other people are thinking about you. Focus on how it feels, because I think there was some episodes that I recorded that I was just so worried about how the audience would react that the episode itself, when I listened back to it, felt flat. A lot of times it's we're always focusing and seeking validation from others instead of seeking validation from ourselves. And I'm a true believer that if you have a pull for something, if you want to talk about something and it's in your heart, it's somebody else wants to hear energetically. I know it's very woo-woo spiritual, but I do feel that, And once you get out of your head and do what makes you happy, people are gravitated to that energy and they don't feel the kind of low vibing energy when you're just kind of stressing out, I need to do this because I need people to like me type of energy.
I'm gonna be mean. Don't do it. Just give up. Because if you're spending this much time not doing it, you're gonna keep finding ways to not do it. But those that want to do it will do it right now.
Just jump into it, reach out. There's a community of podcasters that are out there that they want to help everybody get into this medium. It's not a matter of, if someone's coming in, I'll just use whatever niche you're going to go into. So for instance, I'm in football history. There's many other football history podcasts out there. Don't be hesitant to talk to them and say, well, how did you do it? Because the thing is, you're not cannibalizing each other, you're enhancing each other's content, because a listener can listen to both of your perspectives. Even if it's the same topic, it can be on a different perspective of that same topic.
Just start. Your first episode, your first 10 episodes will probably be the hardest you'll work on and the roughest you'll ever go near. But beyond that first 1, 2, 5, 10, you'll be learning techniques all the time. You'll be picking up speed. You'll understand the editing process a bit more. You'll understand how soon you can post podcast episodes. The more you understand the lead into these things.
As always, just do it. If you have any experiences in life that can somewhat correlate, even if they don't directly correlate, draw from that. Make sure that you take notes that you can somewhat stay on target. Or if you have a specific story that you can deliver and it's like an intimate story that's close to you, just do it. For instance, my aunt, she has a story, like she's a cancer survivor, and we had a family gathering like 2-3 weeks ago, and I was like, you should do a podcast. She was like, no, I would never do that. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And I was like, well, let's give it a try. So I say all that to say, if there is something, a story that you have that's compelling to you, that you feel will touch someone else, give it a try, because you never know. And when I sat down with her to do that, now she has the drive, she has the bug, and she's ready to go. So my advice would be, if you have a story, just do it.
My favorite podcasting advice, and this is advice that I got before I started. I reached out to a friend of mine who, I think at the time he had published 1,000 episodes. This is Pico of the Hawaiian Music Concert Guide podcast. And I called up Pico and I said, Pico, I'm interested in launching a podcast. And his first response was, are you sure you want to launch a podcast? I said, yes. He said, all right, if you're sure, I want you to commit to doing this for a year. Pick a publishing schedule. So I told him I want to do once a week. So he said, all right, commit to doing a weekly podcast for 12 months. And during that time, you're not allowed to look at downloads. You're not even allowed to think about, do you like this or not? He's like, just keep hitting publish. And after a year, then you can decide, is this something you like doing or not? And you can start looking at some analytics to see, where do you need to tweak and hopefully get some vanity metrics.
And there you go, Podski. What did you think? If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And remember to comment below about which podcaster you related to the most, or any questions that you have. We will answer them right here on our channel. We're so excited about the launch of your show, and we know that you're going to make some crazy cool things happen in the world of podcasting. Don't be a stranger. You can find us anywhere on social media at Pod Sound School. We'd love to collaborate and converse. And until next time, the same two things. Don't forget to do your homework, and hey, happy casting.